Let's talk about this right here. Check this out. So this is one of the replies to this tweet from Felicia Sanmez, who said, the DHS and DOJ are announcing a joint operations center to investigate violent left-wing civil unrest, Trump says. This is a screen grab with 102.7 thousand retweets.
Oh, boy.
I want to make sure you can see it right there. 102.7K. He says, the history of Nazis holding rallies in left-wing areas of Weimar Germany, instigating street fights, and then telling the press that only they could save Germany from the violent communists seems like an important thing for people to be studying right now. Wow, is that a gross mischaracterization of what's happening now and what happened back then? Do you know where Antifa comes from?
Tell me, Tim.
From Weimar Germany. It was the German Communist Party, Anti-Fascist Action, or whatever it is. So what's really been going on, and I've talked about this quite a bit, going back to the Battle of Berkeley several years ago. The far left is organizing they're targeting peaceful rallies. And a lot of people criticize these Trump supporters for going to left-wing areas and holding rallies. They didn't start any violence. When in Berkeley, for instance, a bunch of Trump supporters went to the Free Speech Plaza or whatever because it was historical Berkeley, 1970s. And then Antifa showed up and started beating and attacking people, throwing explosives, pulling out knives, improvised explosives and things like that. And I'm like, okay, no one made you attack these people. Like, you didn't have to do that. And they decided to do it anyway. And now they're claiming it's the Trump supporters who are bad here. But the important factor, the important difference, which faction is going around demanding people salute them with their arm outstretched in front of them?
Probably the right wingers, since they're Nazis.
Who's got their right arm straight out in front of them and demand other people are doing it right now? Well, I get it. The only difference between the Nazi salute and what Black Lives Matter is doing is they make a fist.
That's right. I was going to say, you see that there's a huge difference because their fist is closed. It's not straight ahead of them, and I'm not even going to imitate that.
So we've seen the photos and videos. They go to diners, they harass and attack people. And then you get one Trump rally, one in Portland, okay, where they drove their trucks through, and then here it is, 100,000 retweets.
I knew this was going to happen.
That's why I think, Cernovich said, stay home, make money, and go vote.
Absolutely.
My thing is, speak up. And we talked about this a few weeks ago, where I was saying, defend like old ladies defending a statue is better optics and everything.
Yeah.
But speaking up is the most important thing in your workplace. And I think I don't know if staying home is the right answer. I don't know what the right answer is, but I'll tell you this. You drive your car with a Trump flag and they will claim that militias are invading cities.
I saw today somebody compare it to ISIS, the trucks that drive through Iraq with ISIS flags in the back.
Yeah, they called it vanilla ISIS.
Vanilla ISIS.
It's like, well, it was Antifa that just executed a guy in the street.
I mean, that sounds a little ISIS-y, if you ask me.
And the horrifying thing about this, I was thinking about it. Are there any stories of Trump supporters, just like a dude in a MAGA hat, like walking up and executing a leftist or anything like that?
Nope.
Or even
No, and you know how I know? Because that would be front page international news for a month if that happened. Such a thing has not happened, and it won't happen. I pray not. I'm really hoping nothing like that happens, because now I'm terrified of what happens if a group like Patriot Prayer decides to try to retaliate. I'm worried.
Or if Patriot Prayer doesn't retaliate, if Patriot Prayer decides to do a march, that's it. Then you're going to have all of these Democrat operatives and the press sitting in their chairs salivating like, you step on a twig and we are going to write a front page story claiming you did horrifying things.
Tim, they're having one on the 26th.
Oh,
yeah,
that's such a bad idea.
Yeah,
Here's the challenge. Do we tell them you are not, do not go out and express yourselves under the First Amendment? I know.
That makes me mad.
And that's what the left wants. They can create this circumstance. I should say the far left, these extremists, they want to create a circumstance where the right knows that if they step out of line in any way and they've come out, they'll start the fight and the press will defend the extremists.
This is kind of clever, because you're not actually saying you cannot come out. You're not actually saying you may not speak. You're telling them that if they do, they'll suffer for it. But they're not overtly saying. It's all very covert. And of course, because the media has their back, it's going to work.
That's tough. Again, I want to be careful when I say this. I think it was Mike Cernovich who said, stay home, make money, vote, or whatever. I don't want to misattribute quotes to somebody who didn't say it, but someone tweeted it. I think it was Mike. The point is, man, that's tough. We all have rights. You know, we can go out and wave little flags if we want to. And getting attacked by Antifa, that's messed up that the media does this.
Right.
It's why I rag on them so much. Like this whole episode is like me ragging on the media.
Well, yeah, of course, because the media controls what people think of the world way more than they should. We give them far more power and far more credit than we should.
Well,
so they need to be held to account.
I was thinking something earlier
it.
today, you know, that actually gave me hope. I think the media class is on the verge of collapse entirely, even though we're seeing ratings go up and everything. We were joking just a moment ago about if Trump loses, like they're wiped out.
Right.
And I feel like that what we're seeing right now, even with Tucker Carlson, is Trump is inflating all media viewership. I think everything drops dramatically if Trump loses, but internet shows, particularly like this one, are going to survive and flourish. I was thinking about something, and I'm going to, I think I mentioned this last week, but I was thinking about it again today, especially with Donald Trump tweeting, liking my tweet. Why didn't anybody ask me anything? Why
no
didn't
one's
they
talked to you about it?
No one's asked anything about it. Something really funny happened. So apparently, some people on Wikipedia have been complaining my career stops at 2017. The media just stopped talking about me.
Why is that?
I don't know, and I think it's funny. Well, I have a general idea, and I know this may seem like this, I rarely talk about myself this directly, but in the past month with YouTube, podcast, and Facebook, it's over 100 million views across all of my content. And it's like, you know, 3 hours and 40 minutes a day of content. So it's these are big numbers. Apparently, I'm getting hit up by people. You know, Trump is liking my tweet. I'm getting a bunch of attention, and the media completely ignores everything about me. In fact, somebody tweeted about me saying something critical, and some other leftist replied, "Who? Like, haha,
right, who
no one cares who he is." There was a really funny tweet about a year ago or so, where some leftist journalist tweeted something like, "Whatever happened to that Tim Pool guy? It's so sad. He was getting 6 figures working for these companies, and now he's got like a crappy little Patreon getting like $1,000 because I don't use Patreon.
Right.
So just like sitting there." And then I'm just like, it's really amazing. And I think this, you know, when I reflect on myself and my work, is a really good example of how broken the media is and why it's going to die. It's simple. If they had any idea what was actually going on outside of their mainstream bubble, their Beltway bubble, the kind of conversations people were having, then they'd be like, what's up with this dude who's getting 100 million views a month per month, who just got a like from the president? Instead, all these outlets that were talking about Trump liking my tweet were saying things like, Trump liked a tweet, you know, from a user saying, Kyle Rittenhouse is a good example of why I decided to vote for the president. They didn't stop to be like, this guy's got 650,000 followers and like, who is he? And look into me. None of that. Nothing at all.
So does this make you feel like super famous or super stealthy or kind of annoyed?
Neither. It makes me feel like there's two realities happening. And it's true. Like you look at CNN and man, do they have no idea what's going on. But how could it be that, you know, like right now, 52,541 people watching live. You guys are awesome, by the way.
Thanks, guys.
Are watching live and, you know, having conversations, talking about all this, and they have no idea it's happening.
That's crazy.
This is it. I don't think there is a silent majority. No, I think there's a silent group of people that are scared to speak up.
Sure.
But I think people are speaking up. I think the mainstream media just is like, there's like, it is a circle of people all staring at each other's butts. And they're like, it's like, yo, we're over here. Like, are you watching what's happening? Your industry is collapsing. So I guess the way I put it is, the New York Times subscriber base is going up while every other news organization is collapsing, giving this false idea to these journalists that they're doing better when they're actually going down the drain. If they had any idea the conversations that were happening outside of the Beltway bubble among moderate, disaffected liberals, the politically homeless, and conservatives.
You mean everyone? Normal people?
They'd be writing a lot more about this phenomenon. I had someone comment on a post of mine earlier about walkaway. And they were like, it's not real. It was a lefty guy. He's like, it's not real. People aren't walking away. There's no real data on it. And I was like, did you see all the C-SPAN phone calls? And his response was, he's like, that's not real data. Those are anecdotes. It means nothing. And I mentioned Axios actually wrote an article about this, saying that Republicans are closing the gap with registered voters, with Democrats over registered voters. And it's not because they're registering new voters. It's two big reasons. This is according to Axios. People are leaving the Democratic Party or they're switching parties, which is giving Republicans a boost and narrowing the gap between the two parties. I think that proves there is data. This is from Cook Political Analysis or whatever. Walkaway is a real phenomenon.
I think the media is a little bit like Inspector Clouseau and the Pink Panther, who is really bumbling. And I feel like they're staring with their little magnifying glass. They're looking for clues, and they're looking in a dark corner, and everyone's behind them, and they're like, what are they doing? We're right here. But they're like, there's no one here. You guys are crazy. I don't know what you guys are talking about. There's no silent majority.
I think we're getting to the point, and when you see Brian Stelter on CNN, and he says something and you're just like, dude, do you have Google? Like, what is this? Because they all get their news from Twitter, and they all follow each other on Twitter. And there have been progressive journalism professors who said people have an unhealthy Twitter obsession and these journalists need to get off of it. I remember when there was a big trend where I think it was BuzzFeed, I'm not sure. They ordered their staff. Oh, no. It was like Outline or something, or Dateline. I don't remember. They ordered their staff to not use Twitter for a week to like actually do journalism. You put this look on your face.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know what happened with it. I don't remember.
We don't know.
But it reminds me a bit of what the Ryan Long comedy sketch earlier.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, you definitely got to see Ryan Long's comedy sketch. But he says there's like one guy, Stephen King, and who else? I don't know. They're not on Twitter anymore. What am I supposed to do?
Milano. Yeah, those people.
And what am I supposed to do? Come up with an article out of thin air? And then the other guy is like, is there a template for like what people used to do?
Dude, Ryan nails a bunch of stuff. He's like, what are these people going to do after Trump's gone? And on our show, he was talking about how they were going to like pack it up in a suitcase and just walk out into the ocean. I was like, yeah, what are they supposed to do?
Slowly into the sunset and just walk under the water and they're
into the water and they're gone. I don't know.
Dude, it's so weird. Because I look, people have said the similar things to me. Clearly, I just rag on Democrats all the time, right? Therefore, once the political battle is over, what am I going to talk about? And I'm like, I'm going to go back to talking about the exact thing I was talking about because I was making content for the last several years. I have a video about cultural issues. I have a video, I'm pretty sure it's still this way on my main channel, Timcast, that the default video is me talking about Jordan Peterson and cultural issues.
I love that video.
Nothing to do with politics.
Yeah.
But politics became the top tier pop culture. And so I certainly jumped into the fray. I think we'll see a couple things. If Trump leaves, there's a good likelihood they won't stop doing what they do. They'll just replace Trump's name with something similar.
Sure.
They'll find something. They'll lie. I mean, maybe I should take that back. I think they're already squeezing it's what is it? Extra virgin olive oil is when they like get the first fresh drop and then oh no, that's extra, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Basically, you got a dry withered husk of an olive and they're like pounding it with a mallet, like give me something. Or a better way to put it, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel so hard they're pulling up wood chips.
People start telling me, oh man, I'm seeing a bunch of wood chips lately, and I was like, oh, I know, right?
When they write a story like Vox did, where they said something like, what did they say? 40 million Americans have alt-right ideas or something. Yeah, you could Google that. Could you Google that? Something like that. It's clearly not true. And they're just like, well, white nationalists drink water and, 40 million Americans prefer water. Therefore, did you find it?
11 million Americans think like alt-right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually from a little while ago, but they're saying that millions and millions of white Americans are just thinking on the same lines as the
that's right. Because people. They like cats.
Yes, apparently. Oh, gosh.
That's literally the game they're playing. They're like, well, the white nationalists believe that we should have strong borders. Therefore, these people think like them.
Dude, I have no patience for that nonsense because it is possible to have. So what I notice a lot is just a tiny little grain of truth at the bottom of everything. And you can go the wrong way with it, like white nationalists, or you can be sane and reasonable about it like a normal person. But the fact that there is a common grain of truth, they just run wild with it, and it's nonsense.
Well, it's getting to the point where it's really difficult to actually cover anything. So, for instance, there have been several stories that I know to be true and have fact-checked, but NewsGuard, the third-party fact-checking source, will give it like, no, this is a bad source. And then you'll get... actually, here's a really good example. Take a look at this story from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. This is one of the first stories we highlighted.
Oh, yeah.
Trump mischaracterizes Kenosha protest shootings, defends Rittenhouse. Okay. You got 3 journalists on this one claiming that because Trump said Rittenhouse was attacked and he may have been killed, he's mischaracterizing it. I mean, that's an opinion.
Yeah.
Does it say opinion on here?
It does not. It says elections.
Nope. It doesn't say an opinion anywhere. So this is an opinion story. Whether or not he mischaracterized it, they're asserting it as a fact. Well, of course, NewsGuard says the only strike they get is for not disclosing financing.
Not failing to differentiate fact from opinion.
That's fine.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Now, to be fair, I guess they can argue it was just one time they did this. Media Matters for America, which is writes conspiracy theories and lies all day, is green. It's like good to go.
Seriously.
Yeah. So we're coming to a point where this is the point I was trying to make. Okay, so look, I wasn't trying to toot my own horn when I was talking about my viewership. The point I'm trying to make is if people on Wikipedia are saying things like Tim Pool's career stopped at 2017 and there's no new information about him at all on anything he's done yet, like since he left Fusion, how do we update this? And like apparently people are saying things about I recently came out in support of Trump, therefore they should add it. And they're like, there's no articles about this. Nobody cares.
I love it.
Could you imagine what would, like, remember when Joe Rogan said he would rather vote for Trump over Biden, not even committed?
Right.
And it was like every paper ever wrote about it.
Yes, they are articles about that.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird. You know why? I think because these people still, like, they use iTunes. Mm-hmm. So when they open the app, they see Joe Rogan. So they know it.
Right.
But they're not attuned to what's going on with the internet and regular people and where they're consuming news in digital ways. So they have no idea that conversations like this happen every single day to, I think what we're at, what's 3 to 3.5 million viewers per day across all my content. And the media isn't talking about it.
And that is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because I think to them, if an article is not written about something that happens, it didn't happen, which is really interesting.
The best part, I tweeted this. Oh, actually, maybe I didn't tweet it. Maybe I was like about to and I deleted it. How is Wikipedia supposed to function as an encyclopedia if the only criteria for recording important historical information is that some 22-year-old, college grad who makes $30,000 a year has to blog about it?
That's a great question.
Certainly it is of merit that, like the work I do and over the past several years, but the journalists don't know what's happening. So again, I'm not trying to humble brag or anything. I mean it sincerely. The point I'm trying to bring up is that there's a substantial audience here. The media has no idea it's happening while their ship is sinking. We are all on a ship sailing towards golden shores and rainbows and, people are having pina colada and they're singing, and their ship is headed towards the waterfall and they're going full speed ahead. I think there's land that way. And we're like, what are they doing? They're going the wrong way. It's like Blockbuster Video, man.
Yeah,
and
man.
Netflix.
Yeah. Well, they've simultaneously gotten bigger and bigger heads as they've engaged on social media and gotten more and more followers. At the same time, their quality is decreasing as they're outsourcing and they forget, how to Google things and how to research things and how to actually do investigative journalism. Like the guy who did the piece for the New York Times, I think it was, Christian, whatever his last name was. That was impressive. I was like, he used to work for, Bellingcat. And he actually did investigative journalism. So he actually knows what it's like to get out
to do research. Well, I mean,
do the research. Yeah.
That's good they hired him.
Right.
And now he's got a factual piece of video. Like, I looked at all the videos too. I saw similar things, and I saw some journalists bring up these things. But so long as you have many of these underpaid, low quality, fake news, what do we call them? What do you call them? Activists.
Yeah.
Then you're going to get bad information.
They're basically like interns, kind of, because you're like saying like the 22-year-old who writes about Brad Pitt's junk for $50,000 a year. Like that's
no, not the intern.
Not the intern.
No, they got like $10 an hour.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then just activists. Well, they lower the quality at the same time the journalists are getting to feel more and more important because they have fake followers on social media because they reply to Trump. And it's like, something's wrong there. That's a bubble. It's got to burst.
Or to each other.
Yeah.
I noticed this too. They prop up their friends to give them followings. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the issues. I think one of the easiest ways to explain it, actually, if you have one person and they have 100,000 followers and that one person says, hey, everybody, follow Jim.
Right.
Then Jim gets 60,000 followers. Mm-hmm. Then Jim says, hey, everybody, follow Bill. And then Bill gets 40,000 followers. That's still part of the same group of 100,000 from the first journalist.
Yeah, that's something that I think about. I'm like, if someone recommends me followers, I'm not really getting new followers. We're just kind of sharing followers.
Exactly.
Now. Like, that's not really an improvement. I don't really care.
So this is actually a clever tactic that I won't name the business, but
business model.
So what you can do is you can duplicate your follower count for advertisers by creating new accounts and having people follow multiple accounts of yours. So you create a Twitter account, you get 100,000 followers, you create a second account, and you say, hey, everybody, follow me on this account too. Then you can say, I have 150,000 followers. They imagine 150,000 people standing around when in fact it's the same 100,000. But you do that 10 times and you have a network now and you say our network has over 1 million followers. And it's actually the same 100,000 just following a bunch of different accounts.
You're gaming it.
I mean, it's clever. It's not technically a lie,
Technically
but it's
true.
it's not completely honest. So if you want to lead people to assume things, anyway, the point I'm bringing up is these journalists probably have a much smaller user base than they realize, but they see all these journalists, all these followers and think that they're big when in reality it's like, a smaller group between them. Maybe not. Maybe, it's a larger group, but I think that still is plays a big role in this.
Well, I think that's part of having a bubble in the first place, is following the same journalists and having the same ideas and kicking the same things around and retweeting to the same people and getting those, retweets and comments and everything. It's just, it's so tiresome. How you break people out of this bubble is the hardest question, I guess.
You got to pop it. No, you can't.
I know.
So, we've really dived into a lot of the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff today and like Trump's answers. There's nothing I could say to my progressive SJW friends to convince them that they're wrong. Literally nothing. I could send them a video and be like, here's him being attacked. And they go, I don't care.
I don't know what to do about that. It's ignorance and apathy. They don't care and they don't know. And how are you supposed to change whether someone cares about something?
Karlin Borisenko, I pronounced her name right?
Yeah.
Karlin.
Yeah.
Pronounce your name right.
Karlin, we're trying.
Yeah. She tweeted something like, I thought Timcast was being hyperbolic when he talked about civil war after seeing, Val Demings, I think her name was, say this is just what happens. The guy gets shot in Portland.
Part and parcel, baby.
Yeah. May as well have just pulled a Sadiq Khan. That she was like, I guess, something paraphrasing basically that she thought I was being hyperbolic and it turns out I probably wasn't. When 1 year ago, I had some people over to my house, some video producers, and they were talking to me about potential projects and, what they wanted to focus on. And I told them, here's what's going to happen in the next year and here's what you need to understand. And I'm not kidding when I say I predicted the BLM riots 100%. They didn't believe me. They were like, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. And but my prediction was based on the fact that it already happened in 2013, 2014, 2015. I wasn't just making up random things like, ooh, and then riots will happen over racial issues.
Ooh, you're looking at your crystal ball again, huh?
I was like, this is what's going to happen next. It's going to be crazy. And I'm like, it's going to get bad and people are going to die. And they're like, this is nuts. And I'm like, it's going to be some kind of civil war. I don't know, you can call it whatever you want. It's not going to be the way we imagine civil war, but I don't know what else you call it. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. And we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.